What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living in West Africa. And if you want to know how you can get your brand exposed to millions of Africans and Africans in the diaspora, then this is the video for you. All right. We are live. We are live on all platforms. I'm back in Sierra Leone. Last Monday, I was in Ghana. This Monday, I'm in Sierra Leone. I'm in the outer provinces. I'm in a place called Bo right now. So it is in the outer provinces. But we're going to give everybody a chance to get on and tell us where you're watching from and yeah, tell us where you're watching from and if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I want to see thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. And also let me know where you're watching from. So we're live on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We are live on Twitch. We're on 2 Facebook pages. We're actually live on two YouTube pages as well. Okay, so we got Chump for You in DFW, Texas. We got MC Randy saying you can hear me. Superfly East Africa from Uganda. What's up, Superfly? Shout out to Uganda. I have a friend in Uganda right now. 2 friends in Uganda right now. We got Catherine Irish Queen says, yes, you can hear me. We got North Carolina. Susie from North Carolina. Cree is saying you can hear me. We got Elena from Italy. What about on TikTok? Where you guys watching from on TikTok? Give me a thumbs up. And so that I know you can hear me, and also let me know where you're watching from on TikTok. On YouTube, Facebook, we got people on YouTube. Where are you guys watching from, and can you hear me? I know that this live is seems kind of last minute. I just got a replacement laptop today. So for those of you who are joining, my name is Joannis. I do go by Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American. I do live in West Africa. I've been back and forth between Ghana and Sierra Leone for the last couple of years. I move around the world a lot. I've been to London, Germany, France last year. I was in the States last year, Atlanta, LA, New York, DC. So I do travel a lot for work, depending on what it is that I'm doing. So I'm a little bit all over the place in terms of where I am at any given point in time. Anne-Marie Harding's here from London. Shout out to Anne-Marie Harding. All right, so Angela Johnson's from San Bernardino. We got Hugo is watching from United Kingdom. Okay, nice. We got El Cali from Venezuela. We got Ben Clinton from Nigeria. Okay. We got people from all over the world here. I like it. What else do we got? Let me see. What do we have? We have Nubian Treasures. What is it? Nubian Treasures Handcrafted. Okay. Peace and blessings, everyone. What's up, Nubian Treasures Handcrafted? And you're from Atlanta. Shaka Zulu is saying peace from Los Angeles. All right, cool. We got Dylan from New Zealand. 5 times that Gigi is asking about any tips. So we got tips about moving. First time in New Mexico. First time from New Mexico moving to Ghana in spring. I got some tips for you. But let's talk about the content for today, and then we'll get into those tips. I definitely got some tips for you. This is what I do. And if you want to consult with me directly, you can. I'll tell you how to do that as well. We also got Grace from Nigeria. We got Chump from New Dallas, Fort Worth. Eve is watching from London. Okay, cool. What about on TikTok? Anybody gonna tell us where you guys are watching from on TikTok? Let us know where you watching from on TikTok. All right, so we got some YouTube participation. We got some Instagram participation. We're definitely trying to hear back from the TikTok crowd. All right, cool. So today we're gonna talk about how you can get your brand in front of millions of diasporans and Africans. and we're going to talk about that in a second. And I got some great news today. I got a laptop. It's a replacement laptop. It's definitely not a fix for the laptop that crashed. Today I went through, because everybody was like, your laptop crashed. Why didn't you back things up on your hard drive? These are 2 terabyte hard drives right here. 2 terabyte hard drives each. This is 2 terabytes. This is 2 terabytes. They are both full. So I was backing up my laptop on my 2 terabyte hard drives. But in the end, it was not enough space to capture everything that I had on my computer, because I did a lot of videos, a lot of content. And so I've been able to salvage some of it, but there's a lot that's gone. So that's just life. That's life living in Africa. Things like that can happen. And, you know, you just got to roll with the punches and keep on going. Like there's nothing else that I can do, right? So I've come to terms with it about 5 weeks ago or so. And I've been without a laptop for 5 weeks now. So it has been a struggle, to say the least. But now that I got a new laptop in from the States, well, a replacement laptop in from the States, it's a MacBook Air. I'm using that in the meantime until I can take my old laptop to the States, and hopefully we can work on going to Apple and trying to fix it. If not, then I'll just replace the motherboard and just get my old laptop back, and then I'll just have 2 laptops. But anyway, the conversation today is how you can get your brand in front of millions of people. So a couple of quick updates for everybody. Usually I do presentations. So if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on TikTok, or if you're watching on Instagram, generally I would tell you to head over to the YouTube Live. But I don't have the link set up there yet right now. Oh, I see some stuff going on TikTok. I don't have the link set up right now, so you can just listen here. We'll talk about it. You'll be able to hear everything I'm saying anyway. But yeah, so we'll talk about the updates. So one, I got an interest. Well, let's take a step back. Number one, for those of you who are unfamiliar, I do a couple of different things with this platform, right? The idea of the platform, Authentic African. I don't call myself Authentic African, although I'm living an authentic African experience. Right now, I'm in the outer province in Sierra Leone. I was just in Ghana last week. A week before that, I was in Tanzania. Earlier this year, I was in the Gambia. So I do travel quite a bit. I'll be going to Kenya later this year. And so I am living an authentic African experience. I do not call myself authentic African. I know when people see me out in public, they say authentic African. That's not what I'm calling myself. I call myself Joe Hatagwa. But I'm living an authentic African experience, and I share the stories of other folks living authentic African experiences. So that's if it's an African business or a business that services Africans in Africa or in the diaspora, or if it's people who've moved to the continent of Africa and what their experiences have been. So that's what the platform is about, at least on YouTube. You'll see clips from those videos and those interviews on TikTok and on Instagram, and you'll even see those in YouTube Shorts. Separately from that, I also post content to try to bridge the gap between Africans living on the continent of Africa and Africans living in the diaspora and the diasporans, right? People who are of African descent somewhere along the line, whether that's through the transatlantic slave trade, or if those folks consider themselves foundational Black Americans, which is a term that I've become familiar with in the last 12 months. Either way, we're all descendants of the continent of Africa, those of us with melanated skin tones, right? And so the goal is to bridge the gap between the two. I grew up as someone with 2 parents that were born and raised in Sierra Leone, moved and met in the States. And then I grew up as someone who identifies as a Black American, right? Culturally a Black American. And it was always interesting for me to hear how these 2 groups spoke about each other and saw themselves as different. They saw more of their differences than they saw was alike. And so in my most recent years, my goal has been to try to bridge the gap between these 2 groups in any way that I can. And there's so many other people doing it as well. I'm just doing my part to do that. So on Instagram especially, and on TikTok, most of the content you'll see there is content that's about what's happening in the news on the continent of Africa, what's happening in the diaspora, positive news stories, things that you need to know. about what's happening in those two places. So that is the goal of what we're doing. So if you find any of that interesting, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Make sure you share these lives with people so people are aware of the information that we share here. I spent a lot of time putting these lives together. This particular live, I didn't really put together a big PowerPoint presentation, but I did everything from the $5 billion in tech investment that went into African tech last year, the couple of $1 billion that the World Bank had given to Sierra Leone. I've talked a lot about the natural resources and agriculture on the continent of Africa. We've talked about cannabis legalization on the continent of Africa. We've talked about Ghana and the year of return and beyond the return, and how much income that's generated. We've talked about what it's like to do business on the continent. I've interviewed folks. It's all kinds of different things that we talk about on this platform. And so if there's anybody out there that's thinking about moving to the continent of Africa, you want to share these videos with them. It helps the algorithm to know that this is pertinent information for people. It's helpful. And yeah, and we ask that you share it with everyone who needs to hear this information. It's not for everyone, but it's for those who are planning to move here. So a lot has happened in the last 5 weeks. So those of you who are new to join, my laptop crashed. And so it's been a few weeks of trying to figure out how to live my life as a content creator, as an influencer, a person with a social media agency, how to do all of that without a laptop, doing it all on my phone. And I see how these gens, I don't know, well, I have now lived like a Gen Z person with 99% of my time on my phone, trying to do business on my phone. I don't know how you people do it. I don't know how you email people on your phone. I don't know how you write notes on your phone. The screen is just too small, and I don't type fast enough with my thumbs. I'm a quick typer with, the home row, all my fingers, but with my thumbs, I just can't do it. So hats off to all of you who I've worked with in the past, who I continue to work with now, who do everything on a phone. I commend you, because it is very difficult, and I now know what life is like for you all. But now back with the laptop, things are good. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. Those of you who are joining and don't know me too well, don't know my background, I just wanted to give you that insight and that information so you know a bit about who I am. All right, Miss Elaine 121 says, can hear you and you're watching from DC. Nice. Shout out to Miss Elaine. Okay, so let's get right to the content for today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Again, if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok, don't worry about it. We're going to talk through it anyway. There's not a lot that I'm going to be sharing today. I just want to go through a few things. So the first things first is as of today, or as of yesterday, actually, all right, sorry, I have to open up system preferences and allow something. All right, cool. As of today, literally today or yesterday, what is today? October 30th? Yesterday, the 29th, I hit 150,000 followers on Instagram. So first of all, I want to thank all of you who have been supporting the platform for the last almost a little over 3 years. 2019, 4 years, a little over 4 years. And you guys have been instrumental in sharing the content, saving content, saving the post, posting it on your stories. This has been a long journey and an arduous one. And I paid out of pocket for social media managers to help me along the way to keep this going. So we have 150,000 followers on Instagram. Got an email yesterday from Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus Rift. And I don't know if there's any other businesses under the Meta umbrella. It used to be the Facebook umbrella. But they did say they think now that I qualify for verification. So I'm going to reapply for verification because I applied just about a year ago when I only had 30,000 followers on Instagram, and I was denied. So now that we're at 150K, a little over a year later, I should I would imagine, get accepted into the program because I got the email from them. So that was cool, getting that email from them. Of course, I can't show you the email, but they've sent it to me. I screenshotted it. I'll share it on all the platforms later. But that means that with that number, I am now over 200K across all platforms. And as you can see on the screen, any of you who are watching, on the professional dashboard here, it says that I have reached 3.3 million accounts on Instagram in the last 30 days. And across all platforms, I've reached over 4 million accounts in the last 30 days. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is how you can potentially get your brand in front of this group of people. But before we do that, I just wanted to, kind of give some background on all this. So hitting the 150K, Meta reaching out, this is all good things. It shows that my platform's on the up and up. I've done what I'm supposed to do on the platform and finally getting reached out to by the platforms, which is great. Because forever I've been on Instagram and I felt like I was shadow banned. Those of you who know, you know. And so now we finally hit a nice round number, 150. So again, I want to thank all of you guys who helped me get there. I also want to mention, as of last week, I finally crossed over the 20,000 follower threshold on TikTok. So now we're over 20,000 on TikTok. And as of yesterday, we passed 13,500 on YouTube. Was it 13,500 on YouTube? Let me just double check, actually. I don't want to be saying numbers that aren't true. Let me just double check. But I think the number is 13,500 on YouTube. I want to confirm that first before you guys start telling me I'm giving out false information, fake news. Let's see what it says here. Okay, it's 13,400. Excuse me, 13,400 on YouTube. So literally 13,400 as of today. So this is good. We got some nice round numbers. We are finally hitting some thresholds where the platforms are recognizing it, and we're reaching a ton of people. And so, so those are the three main platforms where most of the following is happening. Of course, I have a little over 10,000 on Threads, but that's only because so many followers on Instagram just automatically follow you on Threads. I am posting on Threads here and there, but I really focus mostly on the three platforms we just talked about. And also as a brand, I would recommend you guys determine what platforms make the most sense for your business and where you should spend your time as a brand. That's part of what I do with my social media agency, which is now called the Authentic African Media Group. And so we do everything from working with influencers to helping you run your social media, to consulting, ad tech, social media consulting. We do a little bit of everything. I have a team now that helps, and we'll also do some consulting on e-commerce down the line. So those are the numbers, right? And so how can you get in front of that group? It's simple. You can just reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. In this description below, you can click on the link tree. In my link tree, there it will say book private one-on-one 1 hour long consultation. So you can click on that and it'll tell you how to book a consultation with me. Or you can email me at authenticafricanlife@gmail.com. So Offspeak says, hello, sorry for bothering you. I wanted to offer promotion on your channel, viewer, followers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is somebody from Twitch. So never mind that. Lenora's here. What's up, Lenora? Lenora's in the building. Shout out to Lenora. I'm back in Sierra Leone, Lenora. I know we didn't get a chance to catch up again before I left. It was wild. It was a quick trip. I had to book a flight to get back here so that I could meet my dad so I could get the laptop that he brought from the States. So I finally got a laptop. So those of you who are just joining, I got my laptop. I got a laptop, a replacement laptop, MacBook Air, because, man, life has been difficult for the last 6 or 7 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks without a laptop. It has been that long. I looked on YouTube. The last time I posted a video on YouTube was September 8th. Can you guys imagine that? Last time I posted a video on YouTube was September 8th. And thanks to all of you, the channel is still growing. You know, still in that last month, we had 700 new subscribers without posting one new video. So, you know, I want to thank all of you for all of your support. And for those of you who are businesses and want to get in front of the diaspora and Africans, let's talk about who the audience is, because that's something I haven't done as of yet on this discussion. And if I'm telling you, you can get in front of this group, you probably should know who it is. So we are a little over 60% male, just about a little under 40% female or women, those who identify as women and men on the platforms, number one. Number two, we have quite a diverse age group of folks. So 18 to 65 plus across the spectrum, but anybody under 25 and above 65 is about 8% of my audience. Just about 20% of the audience is in the other age groups. So just pick about 15-year age groups, 25 to 40, 40 to 55 and up. Those groups, about 20 or so percent in those groups evenly. So so basically 60% of my audience, let's just put it that way, 20, 40, 60. Yeah, 60% of my audience is between the ages of 20 and I think it's 65. And so quite a substantial range of folks, but that group is who is consuming the content that we are putting out. And so if you want to be in front of that audience, maybe I should talk about where they are too. So in terms of geographical location, the audience is 70% outside of the continent of Africa. That is everywhere from the United States to the UK to Canada, and then some of the rest of Europe. But then outside of United States and the US and the UK, Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa help round out the top 5. Canada is always bouncing in and out of the top 5. And then, of course, we have Ghana and Sierra Leone, because I am Sierra Leonean, spent a lot of time in Sierra Leone. And then I spent a significant amount of time, at least 2 years and months in Ghana. So that is where the audience is located. So, and these folks are folks who, in many cases, are highly educated, and that just does not necessarily mean through the traditional means. That means through the information they consume online and the work they've done to make themselves smarter about the world around them and what's happening in Africa and the diaspora. So that's an audience you want to target. And they are an audience that makes decisions. You know, I ran into one of our subscribers yesterday at the airport. She did a consulting call with me recently, and she actually is here and she's going to look at land. I put her in touch with someone who's going to take her around and look at some land. And she's going to work on seeing what she could do to buy some land. She's a property manager. Actually, she's a property owner in the United States, and now she's planning to do some of that here. And there's some other folks that want to do so as well. And so we're continuing the conversation with those folks. And so that is a little bit about what I do, and that's the audience that we are in front of. So every day, I am posting content that is relevant to that audience. Every Monday, I go live to speak directly to these audiences. And in general, when I go live, we see anywhere between 500 and 800 folks who join at any given time throughout the live. So, you know, we've had all kinds of different folks from all walks of life join the live. Some people stay on for 2 minutes. Some people stay on for an hour plus. And so we have anywhere between, I think it was 500 and 800 on average every week over the last couple of weeks. And that's just been growing. Some lives have more people than others. So it has been a stressful 24 hours. So we'll get into the personal part of the last 24 hours. Yesterday, and so for those of you who are planning to move to the continent, let's give you a little bit of insight into some of the things that can happen here, especially, let's talk about West Africa in particular. So I have a caretaker / driver / mechanic who has been working on the vehicle that I've been using well, I've been attempting to use while in Sierra Leone, in the capital city, in Freetown. And he was sent money on the 20th of October to fix the vehicle. There was one minor thing that should cost a little under $15 to fix. And he had a significant amount of money to do that and then fuel the car up. And we were supposed to use that to take a ferry across the airport, pick up my dad, bring him here to where we are. And that was supposed to be it. Simple. Yesterday, we would have been here by 8 p.m. No problems. Well, around 2 p.m., I get a phone call from him that the car doesn't work. Even though he told us the car was going to be ready. He told us the car was ready on Friday. So we had to call someone that's here to drive, and they drove slowly. They left at 5 p.m., took them 5 hours to get to the airport. So they got there at 10 p.m. Meanwhile, I was sitting at the airport since 4 p.m., and they got there. We went 8, and then we drove back after 12 a.m. About a little before 12, we left. So we got to the area that I'm at 4 a.m. this morning. So I slept till 9, woke up, and started my day. I went to go get the laptop, try to configure it, and then prepare to go live today, which is why we don't have a large and extensive presentation today, because I was spending the entire day trying to get things set up with this laptop, and going through these external hard drives, trying to see what's on them, if there's anything that's salvageable from the content that I need to edit and create to share with you all on YouTube and across all the platforms. So luckily there is some there, 4 terabytes worth, but not enough. So there's a lot of work that I have to redo, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. I had 4 videos that I was editing, 4-hour-long videos that I had been editing that are just gone because the laptop crashed. So I'll re-edit those and I'll put those out. But that's one of the challenges that you might have, is that especially here in Sierra Leone, and what I notice it also happens a lot in Ghana as well, is that if somebody has bad news, they will not tell you until the absolute last second, where there isn't a lot that you can do about it. I've had to learn to put contingency plans in place. That's something that has been the way that I've operated, because I know that if without a contingency plan, you are going to be stranded in so many different ways. Like, what would we have done yesterday to get my dad from the airport to here, which is, a 4-hour, about a 3.5 to 4 hour ride, or 5 hours, depending on how slow you're driving and, the situation and the circumstances. So, we would have had to come up with all kinds of different scenarios and ways to make it work with public transport. And so luckily we had somebody on standby from here that knew to leave their day open in case they got the call, then we needed them to come, because we've learned our lesson before. You need to have contingency plans in place. But yeah, my dad was landing at 5:30, and we found out at 2 p.m. that the car I was supposed to take to go pick him up and then drive here to where I am now was not working. We still don't even know what the issue is. So imagine expecting to be able to just utilize that vehicle, and that vehicle is unable to be utilized. Also, when I got here, there are some errands that we need to run. So I've been having to take the Okadas back and forth, and then we're gonna have to, ask someone to give us a ride tomorrow so that we can ride around to the couple places that we're going to meet with the different people that we're meeting with. Folks that are selling land, chiefs, all that kind of stuff. And so, but that's just the way the world works here. You just need to have contingency plans in place. So for those of you who are planning to move, those of you who have ever considered it, just keep those things in mind. You will not get bad news until the last possible second, where it's unlikely that you'll be able to do anything about it. So if you have a deadline for something, or you have something that that is time sensitive, you have a specific day and time to do it, just make sure you have a backup plan for whatever it is that you're doing. And the longer you spend time here, the more you visit, the more you'll realize what that might look like, the more you'll be able to find out people that can help you figure out what those backup plans are. But just make sure you do that. Kaba saying, sure, come to Freetown and free your mind. Yes, I was in Freetown, and I will be back soon. And Manelik is saying, like, share, and subscribe. Absolutely. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. All right, cool. So there was somebody on Instagram, I think, that was saying that they were moving. Any tips? So I want to answer your question for you. Let's see, who was that? Let me find your name. Oh, sorry. Let me not cover the camera for those of you on LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. All right. So I don't have. There's so many messages and so many people who popped in since the message was sent. So I just remembered it. So I'll say it. So some tips I would give you for moving to the continent. I just gave you one, right? Set up contingency plans for sure. Since you're already moving, unfortunately, I don't know how many trips you've made, but I would always make sure that you've made many trips over a year or two. Stay for at least 30 days. Stay in a house, just so you get all of the potential experiences that you can get. I think it's really important to immerse yourself in a culture before you move, to give you a real sense of what it might be like. You'll never really know what it's like until you're here longer than 30 days and you're here for an extended period of time. I mean, as many times as I've come to Sierra Leone, and I would say probably 15 times in about 6 years. And sometimes I would spend a month or so. There are still so many things that were new and came as a surprise to me, even after I moved. And you would expect that somebody like me, who has two parents from Sierra Leone, who have been coming to Sierra Leone pretty frequently since 2017, really, since November of 2017, pretty frequently, and who's also spent multiple month at a time stays in Sierra Leone. Still, there were things that were new and shocking to me. So I would definitely say you want to make as many visits as humanly possible before you make the move full time to anywhere on the continent, but specifically if we're talking about West Africa. So for you who had asked the question about moving to Ghana, I would say that. I would also say ensure that you have income, and income that is consistent, right? That you can continuously make while you are gone. Especially if you're planning to start a business, you're going to have to pour a lot of money into your business because there are going to be unexpected expenses and contingencies you're going to have to plan for, right? So that's going to be really important. Number one. Number two, that money that you need to be generating outside the continent will, separately from having a business, you will need that to live your everyday life because most things here are cash. Not a lot of people do, paying on credit. You can pay with a credit card many times if they accept cards, but your rent, for instance, if there's any way that you could pay your rent with a credit card, I guess that might work, but generally you're going to wire someone the full year's rent one time. You pay your full year up front. Some places ask it for 2 years up front. And at least in the few countries that I've been to, that is the standard, right? So in the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, the standard, at least those are the places in West Africa that I've been to. The standard is a year ahead of time, you pay your rent. And so you need to be prepared for that. If you want to buy a car, you're going to buy it cash. You're not leasing. You don't lease. If you're going to build a house, generally you build it with cash. There are very rarely mortgages or with rates and terms that you might be used to. And so, yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that I'll make sure I would recommend. And then go back to the last live that I did, because I had 2 lives ago. Sorry, not last Monday, but the Monday before, where I said, don't move to Africa if there are certain things that you haven't already done. And so that's one thing that I would recommend you do is look into those things. Okay. So that's the advice that I would give. Underrated Sam. What's up, Underrated Sam? 2 years in Ghana. Yes, I spent 2 years in Ghana. Let's see. Anybody have any other questions for me? This might be a short live today. We might hit a record on the shortest live that I've ever done. Because man, it was a rough morning and a rough day. And I still have a bunch that I still need to do. I have a bunch of different notes that I have to type up. So in those 6 weeks that I had no laptop, I typed up a bunch of notes here that I need to put onto a computer. And then I got into this weird creative mode where I started typing notes on scrap paper. I don't waste paper. So I was typing all kinds of notes on these scrap paper here. So all this still needs to be typed up. So I'm going to type all these up and ensure that these are on a drive so that I can access them and utilize them where necessary. So all of these notes need to be typed up. And so I'm going to type them up. So yeah, by the way, like I said, this is over the 6 weeks. I've written all of this up. So a lot to review. So yeah, any questions for me? Any more questions? Okay, this is a good question from the Dap Lady 55 says, talk about medical hospital situations. So I do have a primary care physician in Ghana that I go to. So he practiced in the UK for 25 years, and he went into practice with someone who practiced in the US for 30 years. They're both Ghanaian, and they're both very good at what they do. And so I do go to them. As I mentioned in the past, if I have a major surgery, I would go to the States to do that surgery. Yes, I've said it. I've said that a few times. And people always say to me, well, I thought that there's great healthcare on the continent of Africa. There actually is, depending on where you are and depending on what it is that you need done. But for me, I go to the best of the best. So I had knee surgery in 2016 on my left knee. I went to someone who has a patented procedure for orthoscopy, right? So when they go into your knee, he has patented this process to be able to repair my knee. He's worked on professional athletes before. He's one of the best at what he does. So I don't care if I was in anywhere else in the States, I would have flown to California for that surgery. Now, if I was in the UK, I may have done it in the UK because the UK does surgery pretty much for free if you're paying your taxes there. So I may have elected to stay in the UK and just would have tried to find the best of the best hospital to go get it done. But more than likely, I still would have flown to the States and had this person do the knee surgery because this person did a great job. It was an elective surgery, unfortunately, according to my insurance company. So I had to pay, I think it was between $3,000 and $6,000 out of pocket when I had to do it in 2018. So yeah, it was $3,000 to $6,000. I can't remember how much it was. In overall, I think it ended up costing about $6,000 out of pocket for this knee surgery. So yeah, I mean, so for me, if I have an invasive procedure being done, I am going to go to the best of the best. And that's going to be generally for me, for many of the things that I've had to go get, like the procedures I've had to get done, which is one, getting a tooth extracted. And then the other is getting my cartilage repaired. Beverly Hills is where I've had that done. So for me, that is what I do. I will also mention people who are elderly here, who are American citizens, tend to go twice a year or at least once a year for a physical or checkup in the States to get their prescriptions for the medication, to meet with their primary care physician, to get their blood work, etc. Many times they do that. I mean, I know plenty of people whose parents are in that age range who go to the States to for their medical procedures or just their medical checkups. For me, I have the benefit of having a primary care physician in Ghana. So I don't need to go to the States to do my blood work or to do a physical. If I'm in the States, I'll get it done. But I actually have someone in Ghana that I think is great. And so I go to them. So if you're a Ghanaian, or if you're a person, if you're going to be moving to Ghana, I can definitely recommend the doctor and the practice if you guys want. And, for those of you who want to, reach out to me for a consultation on that, feel free. Okay, any other questions, comments? Let's see. Okay, so Timothy's saying the visa policy isn't understood to me. Here's what you need to know. Most countries on the continent of Africa, if you're an American or a UK citizen, which is most of the people who watch these lives, require a visa. Most of the countries on the continent of Africa require a visa. Some countries do visas on arrival, like Tanzania does visa on arrival, Egypt does visa on arrival. So some countries do visa on arrival. I hear Kenya does visa on arrival as well. So that's the case for you as an American citizen or a UK citizen, and you're using those passports. Now, depending on where you are on the continent of Africa determines on where you can travel within that region if you have a passport from that region. So for instance, if you have a passport from this East Africa Federation or the East Africa community, so that's like Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, and don't get me to naming the rest of them because I don't know all the rest of the countries in that group. If you have a passport from any one of those countries, you can travel to any one of those countries visa-free. In West Africa, the West African community of ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. If you're in West Africa, you can travel around the West African countries with a West African passport. So my Sierra Leone passport allows me to travel anywhere around West Africa without a visa. So I just went to Ghana, came back from Ghana, no visa. Went to Gambia, no visa. However, when I went to Tanzania, I couldn't use my Sierra Leone passport because it did require some pre-work to do a visa to go to Tanzania. With my US passport, I was able to do a visa on arrival. I know. A US passport has better privilege in Tanzania than another African passport. I know. I did see, though, today, and maybe it was announced yesterday, President Ruto, the president of Kenya, has now announced that all people with African passports will be able to travel to Kenya without a visa. So some African countries are beginning to start this process of eliminating this visa issue because it is crazy that they don't require a visa beforehand for people traveling from outside the continent. They'll allow visa on arrival for them, but then they make you have to go through this process of going to their embassy in your country, doing an interview to get a visa from one African country to another African country. It's crazy. You know, when you're traveling around Europe with your American passport, you can go anywhere in Europe, right? With a European passport, you can go anywhere in Europe. They travel cross country all the time. You know, Germans go to Italy all the time. UK citizens go to Germany all the time. No issue. But when it comes to the continent of Africa, if you want to leave West Africa to go to East Africa, you're going to need a visa. If you want to go from East Africa to South Africa, you need a visa. It just doesn't make any sense. So we're starting to see countries on the continent of Africa releasing those visa restrictions and requirements, which is great to see. Hopefully that answers your question. It was a long way to get there. Okay, let's see. Oh, by the way, the question about moving to Ghana was 5X that GG. So I'm glad I was able to answer your question. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Any other questions? Let's see. We got some participation on TikTok. So somebody on TikTok says, how do you say hello in Creole? So there are different ways to say it. So some people say couche, K-U-S-H-E. It's kind of, well, it's not really an E, but you know, we'll say K-U-S-S-H-E. So Couche is how you say it. I have an American accent, so I don't sound like someone born and raised in Sierra Leone when I say it. But yeah, you can say Couche, or you can say how you they do, or how you they do, like how are you. Um, so those are some ways you can say hello. You can also say what's up. I know some people that say what's up. So that's also something you can say. Manelik says, my goal is to teach once I relocate to Ghana. Do you know if it's hard to find teaching positions there? That's a great question, Manelik. So I would say definitely apply for roles at these schools before you move, long before you move. I think you should move for the job, not in the hopes that you will get a job, right? So if you know what date you plan to move and you're preparing for that, then I would start the application process. There are many schools in Ghana that you could potentially work at, but you need to know if there are openings at those schools, right? And so that's what I would make sure you do is just is ensure that there is an opening, because you don't want to just move and then hope to get a job. You know, I was lucky when I first moved to the continent because I had a peer mentor who had a lot of connections. I was already living off my consulting practice. And so when I moved to the continent of Africa, I moved having already had a stream of income. And within 3 months of moving, I had a job as the head of advertising for Jumia, which is the Amazon of Africa. It's an e-commerce company based in 11 countries on the continent of Africa. So my circumstance allowed for that. And I was moving to a country where it had that opportunity. Moving to Sierra Leone, I've actually applied for a company here and didn't get the role, funnily enough, with 10 years more experience than the role required, because they decided to go, or it looks like they are deciding to go with someone that they know already. So yeah, these are things that it's just good to know when you are planning to move. So Jerry Campbell's here. What's up, Jerry? Jerry says, "What's good, Joe?" And all, what's up, Jerry? Okay, what's up? Let's see. What are other people saying? So 5x that, or 5 times that Gigi says, "I will be rehabbing old church schools in Ghana." Nice. Cool. I mean, yeah. If there's a way to make a living doing that, all for it. Anything you can do to rehab, help, grow things that are happening on the continent, that is what we need to do. That is what this platform is about, right? Getting people to visit, move, invest. Those are the 3 things that I'm really looking for as an outcome of this platform. I mentioned bridging the gap between the 2 groups. I mentioned educating the 2 groups. I mentioned sharing stories. But the end goal is to get people to visit, move, invest. Those are the 3 major goals of all the platforms, right? So wherever you're watching from, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, Twitter, all of the above. That is the goal for anybody who's watching. That's always the goal. So if you know anybody who's looking to do any of those things, point them in the direction of Authentic African, because they will get a ton of insight into what that might look like. Okay. So do we have any questions from anybody? We've actually gone 48 minutes, which is surprising considering I thought this was going to end after about 30. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. Well, guys, again, I mean, the theme of this live, and we'll probably do another one where I have a real presentation to walk you through the numbers. But we've talked about this before. And what I want to do is put a banner up right here. If you guys want to support the channel, you can support by going to AuthenticAfricanLife@gmail.com on Zelle, or you can Cash App, Cash Authentic African. You can also send PayPal to AuthenticAfricanLife@gmail.com. Okay, cool. Well, 5x that Gigi says, lots of good information. Happy you found it helpful. You know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll stay on for another 10 minutes. Let you guys ask more questions if you have them. I'm definitely more than happy to answer any questions you might have. I know that some people are trickling in and joining now, and so I want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions. What else I want to tell you? So the good news is we hit 150K yesterday on Instagram. Last week we hit 20,000 on TikTok. I mentioned that before. We're at 13,400 on YouTube. My goal was to get to 20,000 before the end of the year, which is going to be difficult, but I think we can get there. If we can get to 20,000 on YouTube by the end of the year, and also to get back to YouTube partner program. I want to get back in the YouTube partner program. That's the goal. That's the goal by the end of the year. I'm eligible. I'm eligible to reapply for the YouTube partner program on November 15th. Kellen, what's up, Kellen? Joe on live. Have to say hi. I keep pushing. Thanks, Kellen, for joining. By the way, we need to do your podcast, an episode of your podcast. I'm back in Sierra Leone. I got a laptop. I also have somewhere quiet to do the podcast where I actually have a pretty steady internet connection. So we'll have to schedule that podcast for this coming week. Let's get it done. And then we got some more to catch up on. So now that I'm back and I got a laptop, things are moving again. So I'm looking forward to being back. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Black African is saying, can I job with you? I guess you're asking if you can get a role with me. Send me an email to authenticafricanlife@gmail.com. Let's talk about it. We got Dream Chaser 121 saying greetings. What's up, Dream Chaser? Timothy 4254 says construction work. Tell me of what trades are needed. I mean, all along the spectrum on the side of construction is needed. I think what you'll have to do is come to the continent though, and depending on what country you're looking to go to, see how they do things in construction. If you have access to machinery and you can get it shipped here, if you are planning to come to Sierra Leone, I definitely would do that because there's so few large scale machines here. People can charge up to $1,000 a day, which is crazy, to utilize like some heavy duty machinery. So you can definitely find a way to make a living in the construction field. Pro Woman J is saying, hey Joe, just came in. Computer status. Interview looks interesting. Host kind of too laid back though. Which interview? Let's talk about it though. I don't know which one you're talking about. But computer status is back. We're back. Oh, the interview you're talking about. Okay, on the YouTube channel. So yeah, I did it. I did an interview with the Sound of a Crop podcast, and I'm just putting out the clips now. But yeah, I got you. Yeah, so I have a replacement computer. We are talking right now on my replacement computer. So we got a replacement computer, guys. We're back in the game. Kellen is saying that he is ready when I am. Cool. We'll get this podcast interview going because I'm looking forward to being on your platform and sharing my story with your folks. I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll make it happen. Let's see. Any other questions, comments, or thoughts? All right, we got another 6 minutes before we bring this thing to a close. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to mention to you all. Well, I just want to send a thank you, actually, to a couple of people who are on this live today. So Manelik, I want to shout out Manelik first and foremost because he has taken it upon himself to do, and we've talked about this before, right? But to do the timestamps for my live. He's volunteering to do it. And so anytime you see a timestamp for any long live where, it's broken up into parts and you can just skip to that part, it's mostly going to be Manelik who had been the person who did it. iTuber 12 was another person that was doing it as well for a while. but he hasn't for a little while now. But Manelik has been on it pretty consistently. So first of all, I want to thank Manelik for joining. Lenora has always been a supporter, joins a lot. Dan Diablo, who had previously been a troublemaker, has been pretty quiet on the quiet side these days, but it's still always appreciative of you joining. Anne-Marie Harding joins. Miss Elaine joins a lot, and she's watching from DC. You know, there are a few folks. Jerry Campbell, for sure. Kellen, Pro Woman J. You know, you guys have all been supporters of the channel and the platform, joining lives, and so I really appreciate it. You guys have been really helpful, and you guys have helped this channel grow, right? You've helped all the platforms grow by your participation. So I want to shout you guys out, because without you guys, there is no authentic African platform, right? And without no authentic African platform, there is no agency that I'm building. You know, this all just, you know, really is I guess has the flywheel effect of building this to this goal of what I'm trying to do. So I appreciate it. So yeah, I want to thank you guys all for joining. I still got 3 more minutes. We have 3 more minutes. Let's see if there's anybody who has any questions, comments, or thoughts with the last 3 minutes before we draw this thing to a close. I know I'm really relaxed today, guys. 4.5 hours of sleep. And it was a long ride last night, 5 hours through the night from Lunge Airport to Bo, which is where I am right now. So just know it's been a long ride. Jerry Campbell says, thank you, and you have me and all of us greatly. So the feeling is mutual. I think maybe helped. I think maybe the helped was a word that was in there somewhere. But of course, absolutely. Pro Woman J says, appreciate you right back. Hugs. Yeah, man, I appreciate all of you guys. You know, you guys have been instrumental in keeping this thing going, right? You guys, of course, have been, you know, supportive in not just following and joining, but also, you know, commenting and engaging. So, so here's a question. So Pro Woman J says, talk more about your advisory work with African businesses. So, so I do a little bit of a number of different things, right? So I advise in a number of different ways. If you are a business that has a website that has a lot of traffic, so if you're a news site, I can help you monetize your traffic. So if you have a lot of traffic, I help you monetize it. I either can consult with that, or I actually have brands or businesses that I can bring to you to help monetize your web traffic, whether that's on a mobile device or on a desktop device. So that's one thing that I do as advisory work. Number 2, I work with incubators and accelerators. These are companies that work with small companies to help them grow their businesses. And I help them figure out how to build their brand online, generally through social media, right? And so I advise them on what platforms they should be on, how to build their customer persona online, how many times to post, some details about those platforms, what kind of content to post, those kinds of things. So I do advisory work in that way. I also have an agency that can manage social media on behalf of clients. So I can do that as well. So that's another thing that I do and can do. So, so yeah, those are some of the things that I do. I also work with influencers. I also act as an influencer. So if you have a brand that you want to get in front of my audience, as this live was about, you can absolutely do so. Sorry, a couple mosquito bites. So if you guys see me itching my leg, is that I wore shorts today, and it's not recommended where I am right now. So I got about 3 mosquito bites, but it's all good. You know, it is what it is. Lenora says, I will always support greatness. Thank you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Cool. All right. So we are right at 59 minutes and 36 seconds. So we're just about at 1 hour. So if there are no other questions, okay. So Dream Chaser 121 says, This is my first time on your live video. I don't know about your platform. Can you educate me on that? So I did talk about this a bit earlier. So you can go back and watch the live for like a longer version. This is going to be up on the Instagram page. So you can just go back and watch that for like the longer version. But the long and short of it is bridging the gap between, and Instagram's going to cut me off in 26 seconds. Bridging the gap between the diaspora and Africans through news, history, art, and culture and entertainment, number one. And I also tell the stories of people who have businesses here and people who've moved here. So that is what the platform does. With that, I'm going to end the live on Instagram because Instagram is just going to cut me off, and we're going to end the live everywhere anyway. So peace to you guys on Instagram. All right, so Instagram just cut me off, so I had to just do that. But for those of you who are watching on all the other platforms, again, I want to thank you guys all for participating and joining. It's always great to see this number of people joining the live and coming on and engaging with this discussion. If you guys want to know more about what we talked about, because it seems like new people are jumping on, go back and watch the replay. That will be alive immediately after this live is over. And so with that, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. And I will see you all. Okay, so first of all, like, comment, subscribe. Share this with anybody who's planning to move to the continent and who also wants to do business on the continent of Africa or put their brand in front of people. You can share this with them. Thanks for watching. See you all on the next video.